Hi. Welcome, welcome. New faces, familiar faces. I'm going to give it a couple minutes for people to just drop in, and then we will get started. Okay, so something fun that I love to do is since you're in a group space with other people, it's a great opportunity for you to network. So I love to utilize the chat box. Especially today, we're going to be doing this is more interactive because it's a workshop versus me just standing here teaching, which is really fun and really exciting because you guys get to actually leave with something today, versus taking a bunch of notes and then going on to not implement them, which is not helpful, right? So if you want to hop over into the chat and tell us who you are, where you're from, what you do, what brought you here today, and we can just start some conversation over there. And you are definitely more than welcome to drop your website, your social media handles, wherever people can connect with you. Some of my greatest connections have come from just being in spaces like this and meeting other really cool women. You guys already know that you have things in common just because you're here for the same reason. So yeah, go over to the chat box, tell us who you are, where you're from, what you do, drop any links that you want to drop over there. I'm going to go ahead and get us started for today. People might come in, they might not, but this is going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited. I love to talk about structure and I love to help people get stress relief from having that structure, obviously in the business and at home, and they work together. Of course, Kathy, my A+ student, coming in with the first introduction. Kathy is a private client of mine and one of the most phenomenal humans on the planet. So I love her. So before we get started today, some of you know me, some of you don't know me, and it's your first time here. So hi, I'm Kelsey Kenry. If I just blew your mind by saying my last name, that's not uncommon. I didn't say it that way either before I met my husband. When I met my husband, I was like, how do you say this, right? So what I do and what I specialize in is I work with mom founders. And what I'm doing with these mom founders is we are creating businesses that can continue to grow, but we're doing it without self-sacrifice. We're doing it without taking more time away from the people that we love the most. So what this is this is heavy on the strategy and structure of actually building that, but this is also supporting you as a leader, as a woman, and pushing you and challenging you into stepping into new potential and greater potential, not just for your business, but also for yourself. So welcome. I'm glad you guys are here. I love that you guys are introducing yourself. Make sure that you connect with these other women, because like I said, one of the things that not a lot of people talk about is the isolation that comes with running a business, that comes with being a successful woman. I love facilitating group spaces because of the connection that it creates with other women. It's great to have somebody, a network of people in your back pocket that you can go to, that you can refer people to. So never underestimate coming into these spaces, and just saying who you are and what you do and being really clear about that. So here's our plan for today. And I absolutely have notes in front of me because if you know me, you know that I like to talk and I will talk for 400 hours in all different directions. So we try to keep it structured here because that's what we're here for, right? So our plan is to first talk today about why this structure is important and why it's more today than just a shiny new schedule and calendar and way of organizing your time in your life. It's about making you a better leader moving forward. Truthfully, people have normalized this idea of business and running a business being a 24/7 job. It doesn't need to be that way. It shouldn't be that way. In fact, that's detrimental for your long-term health, mentally and physically. And the way that business should be is when it's your business, you should run it. Your business should not run you. So we're going to talk about why this is more important than just talking about time. And then we're going to get into the tactical part of building your ideal schedule, of structuring your time in a way that reduces your stress, that reduces your overwhelm, that allows you to be in the places and spaces that you want to be. And so we're going to assess your current workload. We're going to make edits and audits. And then we're going to craft your ideal schedule. This is, again, an interactive workshop. So once we get to that part, I'm going to ask that you guys unmute yourselves. So this can be a group conversation. If you can't unmute because you have background noise, that's cool. Use the chat, totally fine. But I'm going to take you through different stages, and each of these stages, you're going to actually be inputting and doing these things as we're doing it. And so with that, I need interaction from you guys. And I'm also, after every step that we do, I'm going to open it up for Q&A. So if at any point you have a question about what we're walking through, just drop it in the chat. Or if we're in the open Q&A part, you're welcome to speak up. So and then lastly, I'll tell you a little bit more about like how you can work with me. I will in full transparency, say that I'm not here to launch anything. I'm not here to sell you anything at the end of this. You will see a lot of master classes and workshops and things that are done for free. They're used as a lead magnet to build their email list, and they sell something on the back end. I have done that. All of us have seen that structure. That's not what I'm doing today. I will tell you options to work with me and trust that when you're ready, you will come. I will also transparently say that I have a wait list. So if you want to work with me, you do have to book a call to get on my wait list. So I'll tell you a little bit more about that at the end, but that's the plan. That sound good? Everybody give me thumbs up here for it. Ready to party? Okay, let's do this. Okay, so here's what you're going to need. You're going to need a pen and a journal or a notebook or somewhere to just take notes. If you're a digital person, this can be a Google Doc. That's cool too. Secondly, you're going to need access to your calendar. If you don't put anything in a calendar right now, I don't know how you're alive, but that's fine. We'll start from scratch. And then you'll also need your project management tool. So whether you're using ClickUp, Asana, Trello, I know there's some that I'm forgetting, but whatever you use to organize your business and the projects inside your business, you'll also need access to that. And then third thing you're going to need is an empty Excel spreadsheet or Google Sheet. Again, I'm a Google Drive person, so mine's a Google Sheet. And I want you to go ahead and title that with your name and CEO schedule. Kathy, we literally did this yesterday for you, so you're ahead of the game already. So those are the things that you need: pen, notebook, or someplace digital to take notes, access to your calendar and your project management tool, and then an empty Excel spreadsheet so we can actually, again, build this thing. All right. So let's talk about why this matters, right? Because there are a lot of people that refer to time management and that's really their thing, and that's what they talk about. For me, I always think about the bigger picture of what causes things. And I know that being a mom of 3 little kids and having multiple businesses and living in a dual entrepreneur household, that if we are not organized, then shit feels messy. And when shit feels messy, we are stressed and we are overwhelmed and we are not good parents and we're not good partners. And so while this is a structural piece to get organized with your time, the result of having your time organized is that you are a better human. You are a better leader. You are a better mother. Everywhere that you show up is intentional. And that is what's behind this. Is today we're not just creating a schedule, we're creating intentionality. We're creating intentionality in your life, because oftentimes we can quickly start to just say yes to things because we think it's what we're supposed to be doing. And then before we know it, our business is running us, right? And that is not the way that it should be. We forget that we are in control and we lose power to our circumstances. You are not a victim to your circumstances. You, in fact, have the power of choice always. And so that is why this matters. Today isn't just about a fancy new schedule. It's not just about you going from here and saying, cool, I know when I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. It's about the relief that it brings. It's about going to bed at night and not having all the tabs open in your head. It's about having dedicated space for you to be the woman that you want to be and for you to be present where you are. One of my favorite things is something that Kathy actually says, and it is, what is it? Be where your feet are, be present where your feet are. And that is just such a great reminder for all of us, because it is so easy when you have business and you have motherhood, when you're supporting people through your work, and then you're literally raising humans, which is the most important job in the world and also the hardest. And you have these things that there's overlap and you're trying to be in too many places. And so our brains like to compartmentalize. Our brains like for things to be organized. And so there's a lot of stress and overwhelm when things are blurred, when there aren't clear lines, right? So we're going to create some of those clear lines today. And if you are somebody who fights structure, what I want to say to you is I get it. I totally get it. I get the balance of like the masculine and the feminine energy. This idea of structure and scheduling is definitely very masculine. But in order for us to be in our feminine flow, in order for us to be creators and creatives and innovate in our business and continue to evolve truly, we need space. And so part of this that you will see today is actually putting structured space around being able to be that visionary leader, right? Because we can't continue to grow if we don't have that space. And that's what a lot of people get lost in. Your business should not just be doing all the time. You need space for thinking and for growing. So the last thing that I want to leave you with before we start getting into the fun stuff, right, is that I want you to really think about what you believe about success. Because what goes on our schedule, what we say yes to, how we spend our time, we want to make sure that we're not continuously driven by fear. If we are putting things on our schedule because we're afraid of missing an opportunity, that is a great filter, and that you need to be answering that differently. You don't always have to say no, but it can be not right now. You can ask for a different time that is more aligned with what works for you. There are always options. But I think immediately our brains go to, when we're trying to build something successful, when we're trying to build financial freedom, we always go to the fear of missing out. We always go to the idea that if we say no, then we will lose. The reality is that creates a habitual cycle that then we have to break later on. And that is why you see, and I see with so many women that I work with that have built multi-million dollar companies, that now they want out. Because it's so stressful and it's so hard, because the way that they've built, and maybe the way that you've built, is by serving everybody else. So I want you to think about and rewrite what you believe about success. And an example of this is when I started to grow and when I started to make money, I had to reevaluate my identity. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what to do with money. I was honestly scared to spend it, so I would just hoard it all. And I thought that I was building success, because to me, success was always about everything externally. It was about the houses, it was about the cars, it was about the luxury items, which I still enjoy, right? But what I learned is that was coming from what I was shown, as most of us see with our own belief systems. Your beliefs dictate everything you do, right? Because your beliefs dictate your thoughts, and your thoughts dictate your actions. And so if we want to take different action, at the root of that, we have to change the belief. And so if we believe that success is making so much money that we can buy those things, what will happen is you will run yourself into the ground, build all that money, and then be miserable. So instead, what I chose was to rewrite what I believe about success. So success to me is now a feeling. Success to me is about being able to be anchored in gratitude and look around at, I already have everything that I need. I don't have to be driven by lack or scarcity or urgency or fear. That is success. If I can look around and truly feel and know that I have everything that I need, then I am successful. So you have an opportunity here today to think about, how are you viewing success? What do you believe success looks like that then has created actions that you are striving for? And how can you rewrite that in a way that will allow you to make choices and take action differently? How can you align your version and your belief around success to be parallel with your personal values, with what's truly most important to you? So that's food for thought for you today, and something that you can journal on, something that you can sit with, is just, what do I want to rewrite? What does success mean to me? Because if we don't put clear definitions around things, we end up defaulting to what we know. And what we know is what we were shown previously. So we're in the generation now where we are breaking a lot of cycles about what work looks like, about, oh my gosh, I can work this many hours and make this much money. It feels wrong. We're in that uncomfortable shift right now. And so as mothers, it's very important for us to be willing to sit in that discomfort to lead that. So think about what you want success to feel like to you, what you want it to look like, and you can rewrite that definition and start to ingrain that new belief in yourself so you take different action. All right, so now we're going to get into building out and structuring your time. The first thing that we do here is we need to assess all of your hours. This is going to feel big, maybe kind of hard. Don't get overwhelmed. I'm here with you. So I want you to, either in that Google Doc or on your notebook, wherever your place that you're taking notes, I want you to list all the things that you have to do, all the responsibilities that you have in your business. You can also do this for at home, but definitely at least do the things in your business, right? So list all the things that you're in charge of, anything that needs your approval, any meeting that you have to be in, things that only you can do. This is big things and this is small things, right? So it's anything that requires your time. You can also reference obviously your project management tool and your calendar for this. See what's on there. How are you spending your time? That's the first thing that we're looking at, is how am I spending my time and what are the things that I have to do, right? For me, it's like, I have to write a blog every week. That needs to be me, because nobody can write like me. Nobody that I can not pick apart every single thing that they do, because I'm very picky. So I have to coach my clients, right? I cannot double myself. You will never see me run a company where I have coaches that I've somehow taught to be me. Won't happen. So everything that you have to do. When you guys are done with that list, just go over in the chat and let me know that you're done. You might start to notice some resistance as we go through these things too. I'm going to challenge you and push back on some things. Let that be whatever it needs to be for you. Most times there are things that we think that we have to do that we don't have to. But I'm interested to see how you guys, what you guys file under my have tos, right? Cool. Corey's done. Javi's done. Okay. So you guys can keep working on all the things that you have to do, the things that can only be you. And then we're going to move into the things that you want to do. So there are things that you are like, oh, I wish I could work out every day. I wish I could take a lunch break. I wish I could fill in the blank. What are the things that if you had endless time, if time was no issue, what are the things that you would want to do or spend more time doing? Maybe it's something that you do not very frequently, but you would like to do more of. So list out anything that comes to mind and like, what would you want to do? If you had true time freedom, what would you want to do? It's a long list for what to do. That's fine. Same thing here, big things, small things. You want to travel more, you want to read more. Okay, so now you have hopefully a list of everything that can only be you in your business and that can only be you in your home. And then you have a list of things that you want to do more of or would like to have time for. Okay. Does anybody have on their list of either of these things, does anybody have time for planning or visionary work to where you are working on the business? Because there's working on the business and there's in the business, right? So like in the business is any sort of like implementation work, the things that keep the business running. On the business is like future focus, growth, innovating, changes, of things evolving. So does anybody have planning or visionary work on their lists? Holly does.
Sorry, I can unmute myself now.
Yes, yes, yes. Do you have it on your list?
I do.
Amazing. Anybody else? Okay, no. It's a want. Okay, beautiful. That's good to know. Okay. All right. So now, next to all of your tasks and your responsibilities, I want you to add some sort of time estimate of how long that thing takes you. I also suggest when you do this, it's better to overestimate, because when I'm planning, like getting into the nitty-gritty of this with clients, what we find is that sometimes when we do this, we underestimate, and then it will like blow the whole day, because it's like, oh, that took an hour instead of 30 minutes, or that took 2 hours instead of 30 minutes. So I would say if it's on the bigger end, and sometimes things will range too, just overestimate here. All right, let me know when you guys are close to done. So we have all the things you have to do, some things you want to do. We are putting down, if you have not already, planning and visionary work under the have to. That's going to go under that list. If you didn't have it there already, add it there. And I want for that, I want there to be a minimum of 2 hours every week. After you have all of your times written next to the things, I want you to total the amount of hours. For this, we don't have to look at the want to do yet. Let's just look at the have to do. What's the total for your have to do, including the visionary time that we just added? Yeah, you could do per week. Per week. Sorry, I should have specified there. Yeah. So total hours per week. Because that's what we're creating, is we're going to create first your initial weekly like overview schedule, and then we'll go into like the nitty-gritty of each day. So we're just trying to get a total hours of work and have tos per week. And when you have your total, drop it in the chat for me. $50, $32, $32. All right, so we got 50, we got 32 and 32. Who's excited that I'm making you do math? I love math. That's my subject. Okay, 52, 50, 65. Holly, is that your have to and your want to?
Hold on, let me double check because I was trying to go back and forth and also.
Okay.
Yes, let me go back.
Okay. Okay, so now everybody has their totals of, okay, in order for me to do everything I have to do every week, this is how many hours I need. So now what we're going to do is we are going to go back to that list. Does anybody have any questions before I go to the next step about just this list, what should be on here, what should not be on here? Anything? Totally open. Good to proceed. Okay. Thumbs up, high fives. Okay, cool. All right. So next we are going to audit and edit this. And this is where I'm going to make you guys uncomfortable. Okay. Who likes to be uncomfortable? I knew Kathy was going to raise her hand. Like, we do, that's us. Okay. So you're going to look at this list of your have tos, and you're going to remove at least 5 things. When you think about removing, let me give you some parameters here. I'm not saying instantly drop it, because it's like, okay, I can't just stop coaching people, right? What I am saying is I want you to look at each thing on your have to do list with a new lens. And the new lenses that you're going to wear are, can someone else in my business or my household do this? Can I hire somebody? Can I delegate this out? Can I create some sort of automation or system that would take me off of this? So what are the things on your list? And if you're struggling, this is the part where it's like, again, we can have open dialogue of, if you're struggling to find which things, we can talk through that together. How many things have you guys removed so far?
Just a couple.
Who's at 0 currently? Anybody not able to remove anything yet?
All I did, Kelsey, was I removed one, but I still have to do it somewhere else. I just won't do it during the week. So like social media, I could pre-plan it and block it out versus having to do it every day. You know, that's the
Right. And that's why I said, look through the lens of like, this could be something that maybe you eventually hire for, right? It's more just about like really getting clear on like the things that only you as a person can do. Social media, somebody else can do. So whether that's a right now thing that you handed off or a future thing, it's just something good to know. So here's some questions that you guys can think about as you're going through this list that will help you to remove things, right? So the first question is, what are you holding on to that you think you're the only one that does it right? Because if you're a control freak, like all of us, like me, like a lot of the stuff that I held on to and will continue to hold on to is stuff because I'm just like, nobody does it like I can do it. And some of that is true, but then some of it isn't. So if you can identify what are those things that you are doing because you think you're the best at it, because it would take too much time to teach somebody else to do it like you, start thinking about those things. So what are you holding on to that you think you're the only one that does it right? And then 2 more things that I want you to either circle or highlight or put stars next to. The first things that I want you to underline, highlight, whatever, are the things that are on that list that are the most draining. So these are the things that you dread, that you procrastinate on, that you look at and you're like, this really sucks. I don't want to do this. So put a star, underline, whatever, and then look back through the list and look at the things on your list that you would like to do more of. Like I would prefer to coach clients and be at retreats with my clients. That's all I want to do. Everything else, somebody else needs to do. So what things are most draining, and then what do you want to do more of? More retreats. Asheville in January. Okay. Was everybody, Mindy, you'll have to come to the next one. That one's Asheville's full already. I'll do another one probably in May. So was everybody able to remove 5 things? Four things? Okay. So tell me now in the chat how many hours you're at with removing the things you removed. $14. Okay, Corey, you went from 52 to 14. Talk to me. How did you do that?
I mean, just, yeah, I guess the ones that I let go, I guess are just the ones I let go of were some personal things that I can get rid of or pass off. So just hiring out for that. So me
Mhm.
and help. I have a nanny, but it's very part-time. So maybe taking her on more. And then I only have a few clients myself. I don't do them very often, but getting rid of them completely saves me lots of time. Sales calls, that is something I haven't been able to get rid of yet, but that would save me between 4 to 10 hours a week, because they're usually 45 minutes long each or so. And then like DM conversations and stuff. I do have an assistant that helps with that, but she also has a full-time job. So she doesn't, we kind of just like teeter-totter back and forth, but I do most of it still. Because she helps in the mornings and at night. That's about 14 hours a week broken up throughout the day, which is very distracting. So probably even more time.
Yes.
So yeah, just a lot of the stuff I can just have other people do. And it went from all of that to just like coaches meeting, which is 1 hour a week, general support with the community that we have, and then a couple personal things, which I can't give off because I'm a single mom. So I have to do those like bedtime and dinner.
Yeah.
But even with dinner, I know that I could probably take that from an hour and a half a night to probably 45 minutes by doing one of those like prepped things, because I've done that in the past and it does help because I don't have to take some of that decision fatigue away. And then I kept visionary work on there because I really desire to do more of that because I have a lot in my brain, but I am so clogged with time that I don't have that time to release that like creativity. And then create content. I actually kept it on want to do or have to do because I like to do that. But I don't use all the platforms that I desire to use. Like I'm not really great with my consistent email. I'm not great with my Facebook page that I have. So I want to actually pour into those more as well. So yeah, that was that.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Okay, cool. Thank you for sharing all of that. Yeah, we are an air fryer family. We do like chicken thighs and Brussels sprouts in the air fryer. It's so quick, so easy. So yeah, but that's incredible. Just like, do you feel like the weight of that, and even in like looking at the possibility as you guys are kind of crossing these things off, or once we start to, our first step to change is awareness, right? So once we're aware of like, this is how many hours I really feel like I need, this is how many I really like want to be working, then there's a gap there. And then we start formulating solutions to where it's like, okay, well, how can I get rid of this? Then it's like, I'm going to bring more support from this person. I'm going to let go of this that I was holding on to. And so just being in this space, like that's really what's important here, is that we start to formulate those solutions because we're looking for them, because we realize I don't have to keep working this way. I don't have to keep working this many hours. Okay, so everybody has cut down, hopefully significantly, on their hours. Did you guys? Okay. So Corey ended up at 14. Where did the rest of you guys end up with your hours when you total up your have tos?
Oops, where did I go? 50.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
And
So
I
is
just
this
don't feel,
is,
I just don't feel like I can shave anything else off. I mean, and that's with hiring out for someone to come and clean my house, which wasn't even something I was like that. I forgot to put that on the list. So then I was like, well, I will have to hurry up and hire someone else just to take, I mean, it's just, just in the throes of it. Like I have a little one. I'm trying my hardest to be present and with him. Right. And not get caught up in building my business and forgetting that what I wanted was to be a mom.
for sure. Is that 50 hours your business and your personal?
It is,
Have
but that,
to
is that
s-
not,
okay.
I mean, it has to, right? Cause like I,
Yes,
I'm in
yeah,
charge of
that's
all of like
that's
bringing,
totally fine.
it's
That's
just, yeah,
totally fine. So
okay.
for clarity purposes, it's totally fine if you guys, I want you guys to have business and personal on here, but for the hours, we're just talking business. So what we're setting up is your actual work schedule and your working hours. So yeah,
Okay, so just, all right. And I say that because for me as a mom, it feels like it's all my job, right? So, and I know you get that. Like, I don't know how to separate that. Like, it feels like my day is consistent of trying to run around for him and do the things I need to do for him while also finding my pockets to do all that I need to do as well. So yeah, I'm just
that's why
trying
we're
to figure
here.
out.
That's exactly why we're here, is we're
Okay.
creating structure around that, because the back and forth, and it probably will look different than what you have right now, like support wise or your actual working hours. And we're going to get into that in the next part. But that's one of the things, is like, I did kind of like the back and forth and like the working with my like kids in the room and whatever. And it's just like, there are some things that we can do, and it depends on obviously the business and what you do as well. But that it is incredibly important to have some sort of healthy separation for you to be able to be the mom you want to be when you're in that room, and the business owner you want to be when you're in that room. So that's what we're going to create here, is structure around that. Okay, so let's move on. Any other questions before we move on? Right? Okay, so we've cut down on hours. Now we're going to think about your ideal schedule. Okay, so I want you to write down the answers to these questions. Which days of the week are you working? You need to have one day where you have no meetings. Okay, so clarify which days of the week that you're working. You don't have to work the traditional work days either. If you have, kids and you don't have child support, and partners or husbands are home on the weekends, and so you guys swap and you work a Thursday to Sunday schedule or whatever, we can break all sorts of traditional paths here. So choose what is best for you and your family. When you're writing this stuff down, you're creating your ideal schedule. You're not creating, when do people need me? When do people want to take meetings with me? You're just creating what is ideal for you. So which days are you working? And then make one of those days a day with no meetings. Just star that day. And then what hours are you working? So this is where we get to look at what we just formulated with the hours, because we want to make sure the hours that we are available and our capacity match. What happens is a lot of times people overbook themselves in terms of capacity because they take on projects or clients or tasks that equal X amount of hours without thinking about the hours that they actually have available. And when you think about capacity, right now we're talking about hours, but there's two things to consider when it comes to capacity. There's energetic capacity, and then there's time capacity. So you might have time to take on an additional client meeting, but what about all the other work that comes with it? What about the deliverables? What about, depending on what your business is, there's other work that goes into it outside of the face-to-face client time, right? So what hours are you working? And think about what works best here again for your family. So an example of this is my working hours are 9 to 3. 3 is when my big kids get home from school. And I take a lunch break at 12 o'clock because I get to eat lunch with Emmy and then put her down for a nap and then come in for a second work block. I'm going to show you guys my schedule as well once we get into the Excel spreadsheet part. Okay, so what hours are you working? What's going to work best for your family? When you outline those hours for yourself and you do the math there, is anybody over capacity? When you look at the hours that you have clarified you've needed with removing the things versus the hours that you want to be available. Is anybody over capacity, or are we all okay? Okay, good. Nobody's over capacity? Are we good to move forward? Thumbs up, yes, in the chat. Cool. Awesome. Okay, so now you should know which days you're working. You should have an idea of the hours that you're going to be working. And now I want you to go back through your list, specifically for your business stuff, and find things, find your tasks and your projects and the things on that list that are similar. And group those together. I should have told you guys to bring like 4 different colored highlighters. Then we could have gotten really fancy. All right, so group the things together of similar tasks. And then after you do that, you're going to go over to your Excel spreadsheet. Can everyone see my screen? Cool. Okay, so you have the days you're working, you have the hours, you have an idea of the hours that you need and the hours that you want to be working. You've grouped things together in similar places, similar topics, similar themes. The reason why we do this is one of the things that we do, especially because we pretty much all of us start as solopreneurs, right? Usually we don't start with a team. And so carrying that solopreneur mindset into when you have a team is one of the things that can really hold you back. And when we're solopreneurs, we're doing a lot of task switching. And I'm not going to go into the science of the detrimental effects of task switching and multitasking. I'm pretty sure all of us in here know that it's not a great idea, right? And so we want to prevent that as much as possible. Some of it's just not realistic. We are working within certain time constraints and we have to work on different projects. We have different clients, different scenarios going on. But as much as we can, if we can group things together, it will allow us to stay in a place of flow, right? And earlier I touched on kind of bringing the feminine in to this. And the feminine is our creative side, us being in that creative force energy. That is where this can happen. This sets the stage for that to happen by creating this structure. So what you're going to do now is you are going to open your Excel or Google Sheet, and you're first going to create some rules for yourself. This is one of the most important parts. What you're creating today is boundaries for yourself, which as people pleasers, none of us are great at that, right? But it's a muscle we have to flex, and we have to flex it often for it to get better. So we're going to create rules for ourselves, really, but also so that we can be clear on the front end for any expectations when people come into the business about when we're working, when we're not working, and for the team, right? So like when I created this for myself, I sent this to my team. So there's full clarity on like what I'm working on, what I'm not working on, when I can review stuff, when I'm not available, etc. So I'm very big on clear, just direct communication across the board. So you're going to come up with rules for yourself. Everybody needs to take a lunch break. I don't care if your lunch takes 2 minutes. I don't want anybody eating food at your desk, please. Okay, so you need to have a lunch break in there for yourself. And I want you to think about when I was talking about capacity, we have our time capacity, then we have our energetic capacity. And so the different things that you're doing in your business, you have different levels of energetic capacity for. And so for me, my max is 4 meetings per day, especially if these are client meetings. If one is like a podcast interview, it's like a different type of thing. I'm giving in a different way, then that's a little different. But like after that, like if I were to see a 5th client, it would not serve them well. And so I know that. And so I won't do that to my clients because it's not fair to them. Right. So you want to think about your energetic capacity, because just overloading your schedule to fit as much in and as little of a time is not the strategy we want to take here. We want high quality work. We want to retain clients. We want our businesses to be built for sustainability and longevity. And so that's where these rules come in. These rules allow you to do your best work. And so that's why whatever rules you design for yourself, be it breaks, be it like a hard stop time, you know, I have the buffer in between, and that buffer in between actually serves me really well, because it's pretty often that I go over time with my clients, and then I'll still have, you know, 5 minutes to pee or whatever. So make sure that you set these rules for yourself. Think about like when you're just dead after doing a certain type of task. Yes, I typically have at least 4 meetings a day, not by choice. And when that happens, it's mentally exhausting. Exactly. Okay, anybody need help creating rules? Does everybody have some good rules in place for themselves? These rules should push you a little bit. It should set, you know, some hard lines is what we're trying to create here. It's really beautiful that we can work from anywhere, but it's also detrimental that we can work from anywhere. And so we need to that's why we're bringing the structure back. So lunch breaks, types of meetings, how many meetings, etc. All right. So rules come first. And next you can see that each of my days has a focus. So that's what you're going to create next, is you're going to go in, you're going to put your working days, which this is technically not, but it's there. And then you're going to put your theme for that day. This is where you go back to your list and how you have circled or starred or use your highlighters or however you got fancy to put together the things that are similar. So you want to go back to those things and see how you can group your days. What is your focus for that day? So Monday, that's my CEO day. That is my on the business day. I don't do any meetings. It is all just me taking those big ideas. Like Corey said, we have so many ideas as business owners, and we oftentimes can't implement them into the business, which is important for our growth, because we're just doing the work to sustain the business. So that's why this day is so important, because you can take an idea, you can fully build that idea out. You can, you know, do whatever research is doing, do planning, set it up in your project management tool, whatever it is, delegate it out to the team, record videos, whatever you need to do. That can be done on that day, because you don't have to be distracted by anything else. So that is going to be your day. I told you guys to pick one day that you don't have any meetings on. That's going to be your big vision planning day. That should be, every single one of you should have this, right? And you can put your work blocks on there because you've defined when the hours that you're working as well. So you guys have your days, you have a focus for each day, you have your hours for each day, and then you're going to take the things from your responsibilities, your have-tos in business, and put them on those days. Anybody have questions? Thank you, Kathy. We'll see you soon. Okay, you guys good? Everybody have your Excel, Google Sheet built? Okay. Awesome. Anybody struggling with any of this? Feel like you're missing a step? Tavia, you good?
Do you see my confused, perplexed look? Um,
Tell me
so
where you're stuck.
I like it. I really do like it. When I organized everything according to groups, there's a lot of like, there's some things that I have to touch every day, like communication, follow-ups with people. Like that, it can't be a one time a week. It has to be every day, even if it's 30 minutes. There's,
Before you go to the next thing, that we all have that. So
Okay.
that's completely fine when it's a little task like that. For instance, my 9 to 12 work block, 9 to 9:30, I'm in Slack doing review, touching base with my team. That's my 9 to 9:30, Monday through Thursday. So yeah, we all have those things, especially when you have, we have those things. And then I have Voxer with my clients too. So I have dedicated blocks for that. So there are certain things, like you said, that are just daily reoccurring tasks. That's completely fine. So these things are going to be outside of that, anything outside of that.
yeah. So I think you just said it. So I think I need to look at it more of like a macro level of time block and what falls with it. Yeah. Versus I'm focusing too much on those little tasks versus setting the time to do just the work. Okay. That's good.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay, cool. Everybody else good? This makes sense? Hopefully that cleared up something for any of you guys, because we all have stuff that we need to do daily. I will not be checking my emails daily though. You cannot make me do that. Okay. All right. So, here's what we're going to do next. So now this is your big overview, right? So now you should have a clear idea of when you're working and what you're working on from a high level. You can take this a step further by creating a time management process. So I'm going to share with you guys my process. You do with this what you want. At this point, you have your big overview schedule. So if you want to get down into the nitty-gritty, which the overview schedule is great because now you've created intention. You know, on Mondays, you're going to do this, on Tuesdays, you're going to do this, etc. Right? You have those, but you also have, like Tavia said, certain things that you have to do on a day-to-day basis. So your process can look like this. That is your big overview. And so now we take that and we break it down into smaller chunks. So you can get a planner. You can use a digital one if you want. I prefer paper. But what you're looking for, I honestly did this in a regular journal before I even got this. What you're looking for is a notebook that has appointment times that are separated by 30 minutes. Okay. So now you can take your project management tool and your overview calendar and know what your focuses are, know what your deliverables are, anything that's in your calendar. And you can put that in 30-minute blocks, right? So every day, when I wrap up the end of my day, the last thing that I do is I open my calendar and I write down any appointments in here. The next thing that I do is I open up my project management tool and I see anything that is due that next day because I'm planning for the next day. A lot of people create to-do lists. And the biggest problem with to-do lists is it's just a list that we don't have dedicated space for. So you're basically taking a to-do list or list of things that you have to do, whether that's in your project management tool or on a piece of paper, doesn't matter. You are going to take those things and you're going to give them a dedicated space, right? So every day at the end of your workday, you're opening up your calendar and your to-do list, and you're transferring those things into an actual schedule so that the next day when you step into work, you know exactly what you're working on and exactly when. Will it sometimes get messed up? Yes. But the beauty of actually creating this much structure around it is it's easier to fix. If I miss a 30-minute block, if something runs over, if I choose to sit and talk to Eric for 30 minutes longer instead of coming back to work because I have the freedom of choice, I can rearrange because now I can see it's just moving little blocks around, right? So this is the part that a lot of people miss. A lot of people just throw stuff in their project management tool and they're like, okay, I have to work on this and then I got to do this and then I got to do this. But when are you doing it? If I know that from 11 o'clock to 12 o'clock, I'm working on my upcoming retreat, and for that retreat, I'm creating the schedule and I'm doing room arrangements. It's very specific, so we don't spend any time spinning around, and that's where efficiency comes in. So do you see how this is like, okay, you have your top level focus and intention, then you get into, okay, well, now that that's my focus for the day, these tasks fall into that. And so knowing that, I need to take these tasks and now I have an exact schedule of when I'm working on those things. So every day from 9 to 3, you will see in my schedule every 30 minutes, there is something dedicated to that 30 minutes. Even my lunch is written in there. My client calls are an hour, so that's 2 blocks, but everything is written in there. So then there's no time wasted. Like so many of us waste so much time because we just look at the to-do list and we're like, what should I work on first? Okay, I got to do all these things. Okay, I need to write content. Then I need to go over here and have this meeting. And it's like too much back and forth, right? So we have intentions, which help us to plan. Like when I'm laying out things, when I'm planning in my project management tool, I don't go put something that's like answering emails on Mondays because that goes on Thursdays. That's my in the business day. So that helps you to plan. Is this making sense to you guys? Like as it gets down? Okay, cool. So that's what I want you to grade is like, you'll find your own process through experimentation. But what I would recommend is that at the end of your day, you go through that process. And the reason being is that as ambitious, driven women who always have ideas and things cranking around in our head, one of the greatest ways to slow that down or stop it or actually turn off is to have dedicated space for things. Like if I start thinking about, ooh, I want to do this for the retreat and that for the retreat, then I can go to, okay, cool, tomorrow at 2 o'clock, I have an hour for a retreat block. Right? So it just helps us kind of calm and center, which then rolls into our ability to be present with our children. And so then we can be where we are because we know when we're working on things and where they're going. So create that process for yourself. I highly recommend just stealing mine because it's easy and I've done a lot of experimentation on like what works and what doesn't. Shiny object syndrome. Yes, absolutely. That it helps so much with that. And we all have that as business owners because it's just like, there's so much excitement because we love our work that it's like, okay, cool. Now that like, that's why I love CEO days. You get to just like develop these ideas that you have a whole day dedicated to that. Right. So, but then there's, just being able to put things in their different compartments, which is what our brains like to do. Right. So utilize that process, open up your project management, open up your calendar, literally just take a piece of paper and write down 30-minute blocks so that you know, okay, 9 o'clock, I'm doing this, 9:30, 10, 10:30, 11, 12. Like, it will be so helpful for you, and you will be so amazed at how much you're actually able to get done in shorter periods of time because of the specificity here. All right. And then again, you can shift that stuff. I would say almost every day I, don't book enough time for myself, or something takes long. It's okay, because I can move it somewhere else. Right. So this is going to give you more brain space, take care of some of that mental load, allow you to be present. And then in the business, it's going to allow you to be much more efficient, because you aren't twiddling your thumbs or running back and forth between a bunch of different things that are on opposite ends of the business, right? Does anybody have any questions? Does everybody feel clear? Do you feel like you have a process here? Do you feel organized? Are you confused? Let me know where you guys are at.
I have 2 questions if I can. So
Yeah.
one of them being, I almost like my immediate thought, because maybe clarify this, was that almost like the day before you said you're really honing in on what those, the macro level, but you're really looking at what the 30-minute increments are, because they might change because something came up and you have to address it tomorrow. So you're kind of filling those in almost like 24 hours before, and adjusting as needed. That's my first question. Second question, how do you handle, let's say the next 2 weeks, kids are home, I know for sure once and I'm traveling, I'm sure a lot of you guys are, but like as soon as you're sort of out of it, it's really hard to get back on routine. So like for instance, you might not have coaching calls, or I might not have like specific training calls, but you still kind of want to keep your feet in it and not completely, detached from it, because it is so much harder. So any recommendations on that?
Yeah. So for the process itself, so I do it at the end of my workday, which I do it at 3 o'clock, if not a little before. I'm sitting down and I'm pulling up my literal Outlook calendar that has all my client appointments. And then I'm pulling up Asana, which is my project management tool. And I'm looking at everything that is happening tomorrow. So, and then I just take those things and transfer them over. So like in Asana, it shows up as like checklist, right? So it'll be like, okay, book the dinner reservation for the retreat. Like I need that, instead of just being like, I can know that I need to do that, but I need to know that I'm doing that at 10 o'clock. So that's how I'm transferring it over, is exactly like that. So yes, it is like less than 24 hours before, but basically the day before is when I'm doing that. I also will put things, and this is where like parameters and rules come in, because for my calendar booking to book an appointment with me, I think I have it in there. It's either, I know it's at least 24. For clients, like there's no changes within 24 hours unless there's an emergency, which happens, right? But for anybody outside of that, like you can't book in my calendar. I think it's 48 hours. So most times, like I don't have a lot of variance in my actual appointment schedule. So you can always put boundaries around things like that too, if necessary. And there's stuff in scheduling apps to where you can set those. As far as handling time off and like getting off and coming back in, I'm such a regimented person. Like that's just who I am, that I think because it's so ingrained in me that it's easy for me to step out and then step back in. But I think it's always easier to step back in to something that you have clarity around. So it's going to be easier for you because you are going to know this is what I'm working on. And you can always go in to, your schedule. And if you have a thought about something, you can always drop it into, okay, when I get back on that Monday, I want to work on this, because that's where like journaling and just having some sort of like ongoing piece of paper that we can get our thoughts on is really important. So I would say keep up with it as much as you can. Like for me, I'm not doing any calls for 2 weeks while the kids are out. But I might pop in here and work on something if I feel like it. I don't put a lot of parameters around that, because I think it's important for us to actually take time off. Does that answer your question or is that helpful to you?
Yeah, it's perfect. Thank you.
Okay, cool. All right. Anybody else? Any questions? Corey, does your new schedule feel lighter?
It does, yeah. And honestly, I'm laughing at myself because now my life has taken a drastic turn, becoming a single mom less than a
Yeah.
year ago. You know,
Mm.
living in an apartment, it's a big transition, and I lost a lot of that flow. And I know how amazing it can be to have like this structure, because I had it before where I literally was like waking up at 5:30, and the first thing I did was open my calendar. And now I don't think I've used my calendar in like 6 months because of everything. I just got disconnected. So I'm excited to kind
Mhm.
of get back in that. Because it literally has like right now I am just kind of like, let's do this and this and this and this and this. And then I'm like, holy shit, like I don't even have any structure. I feel like things are falling apart. So I'm excited I already like updated my Calendly. So I only take calls on certain days. I made it so you can't, like I've already done that while we're in this call, because I also got in the like scarcity mindset, because now everything's on me. I'm like, oh, I can just take calls whenever because I need clients. So
Yes.
isn't what I need to do, because that's not healthy. So now I only do it 3 days a week. Yeah, I'm excited to add this for sure.
That's amazing. That's so amazing. And kudos to you. My mom was a single mom and that's so
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah,
So
it's been a rough, but we're adjusting, finding a new routine. So I know to give myself some time, but I also know that I can't just sit on my ass and expect it to just go back into this fluid thing. So
right. And that's the thing, is that's why a lot of people, it's hard to take this time to actually set up this structure, because it's like, oh, there's always so many things to do. But now you see, like when you take this time, and it's the same with the CEO day, when you take some time to just like step out, you can do so much and create so much that becomes so fruitful, that just makes life feel so much better. So I'm really glad that you were here. Yes, the recording will be up. I saw that you missed the first 25 minutes. Yeah, there are people who signed up that couldn't make it. Absolutely. We will send the replay in an email. Sometimes those emails go to spam. And once again, full transparency, you will not be getting any sales emails. I'm not selling anything. You have the option to book a call with me. And then I'll give you guys just a rundown of the couple ways that you can work with me. The first way is going to be a VIP day. That's an 8-hour in-person session. For this session, I do a full assessment of your business. This is an assessment that I developed that looks at 8 key areas of your business. You fill out this assessment, you send it to me. I put together our schedule for the day. We come together, I pull out those high priority items to get your business more sustainable, more revenue, whatever you are needing. Again, those kind of red flags that I see from the assessment. And we come together and we create solutions and a roadmap forward for you. And that is followed by a month of support via Voxer. So that is one option. My other option is private consulting, and private consulting starts with the VIP day. And then we move into ongoing consulting, which is me living in your back pocket. My bread and butter is depth. And so I deeply care about you. My private clients are some of the people that I'm closest with. I know their husbands' names, I know their kids' names. It is a very different experience than what most people who would call themselves a business consultant or coach would give you. And so those are the 2 options to work with me. As I said, I am on a waiting list for private consulting. And it's not the best option for everybody, but it's primarily for women who are making multi-6 or multi-7 figures. It is a higher level investment. The VIP day, a lot of people like to start with because it is so thorough and in depth. And then I have continued option coming off that as well. So there is options there, but the only way to be able to work with me is to book a call with me. And then we talk about which option is going to be best for you. Make sure that we're a good match. And then I can put you either on my wait list or schedule your VIP day. Right now, I am scheduling VIP days into February and March. I am booked for obviously the rest of this year in January for those. And then there's a waiting list for private consulting. So that's my spiel for you guys. Thank you for being here. I hope that you feel clear. I hope you feel a sense of relief. I hope that this helps you excel, not just professionally, but also personally. And the last challenge that I will leave you with is you also wrote down all of those things that you want to be spending more time on. Now that you have your work schedule, I want you to also take this same process that we did today and start thinking about your personal schedule. When are you moving your body? When are you spending time with your friends? When are you reading? When are you going for a walk? When are you going outside? Start to think about dedicated space just for you, because if you know anything about me, you know that I believe in pouring into ourselves first so then we can pour into our little people and our businesses. So thank you again for you guys being here. If you have any questions, I'm always available to answer them. You guys know how to reach me. And I hope you guys have the most amazing Christmas and New Year's or whatever holiday you celebrate. And I'll see you guys all soon. Thank you guys. Bye.
Thank you.
You're welcome.